All right, so let's look at some actual examples of these. Let's start with the first one. Say we have something like, I don't know, let's say that 9 is less than x plus 15. Or make that 5, I'm sorry. X is less than, or 9 is less than x plus 15. But we can't really work with that. We have to flip the whole thing around. We have to spin the whole thing around. So I need this. And if you can, go ahead and pause and see if you can work this out. If not, watch me. The x plus 5 has to be on the left, and the 9 has to be on the right. Well, is the inequality pointing to the variable, or is the inequality eating the variable? Well, the inequality is eating the variable, so it needs to eat the variable down here. All right, so now we've dealt with that first exception. And remember, I told you that the first rule of dealing with an inequality is, or the first thing you need to remember is, that you treat it just like an equation. So we know how to do this like it's an equation. X plus 5 equals 9. It doesn't actually equal 9, but we're going to treat it like it does. So in order to solve this, we need to get rid of 5 from both sides. So 5 minus 5 is 0. 9 minus 5 is 4. That we can graph. If you've done K1, K2, that you can graph. Let's look at another quick example of one of those. Let's do 13 is greater than or equal to x plus, let's do 7. Okay. All of this, the variable has to be on the left. So we're going to put x plus 7 on the left, put that 13 on the right, and then I have to ask myself, is the inequality pointing to the variable, or is the inequality eating the variable? Well, the inequality is pointing to the variable, so it still needs to be pointing to the variable down here. And once again, we do exactly like we've done before. We treat it just like an equation. Take 7 away from both sides. Well, x is less than or equal to, what is 13 minus 7? It is 6. That we can graph. All right, so there's a couple of examples of where you have to deal with exception number 1 and spin the whole thing around. All right. Now let's look at an example from part 2. Say you have negative x plus 4 is greater than 7. Okay, negative x plus 4 is greater than 7. All right, so I don't have to spin everything around. My variable is already on the left. But what I need to look at is, I know that I have a negative here. I can't graph that. But the first thing I can do is I can go ahead and get rid of that positive 4. So I'm going to take 4 away from both sides. Not a problem. Negative x is greater than, well, 4 minus 4 is 0. 7 minus 4 is 3. This would be great, except I cannot graph negative x. I don't know how to do it. So I need to ask myself, what number am I multiplying x by? Well, if there's no number there, you know that it is 1. There's an invisible 1 there. Actually, there's an invisible negative 1 there because it's negative x. So that I can deal with. Again, treat it just like an equation. All right, so what do I divide out of negative 1 times x? I have to divide out negative 1. Okay, I just divided by a negative number. This is the big thing right here. If you multiply or divide by a negative number, you have to flip the sign. That's when you flip the sign. When you multiply or divide by a negative number, you have to flip the sign. All right, so now that I flipped the sign, I can go ahead and finish this thing up. I divided this term by negative 1. I need to divide this term by negative 1. These cancel. X is greater than, what's 3 divided by negative 1? Well, it's negative 3. That I can graph. Okay, so there's our first example. Let's look at another.